I have a dream, oh, I have a dream. Red, white, and blue, fly free, fly free. I believe, oh, I believe. Will you dream with me?
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. I'm almost going to say my old radio show. So, after 7.5 years, it's kind of hard to break habits. And I don't know why I just thought of that. But Changing Times, every Wednesday at 10 a.m., we are live at the Axe Media Group headquarters in Springfield, Missouri, out there on West Kearney. For the ones who are in the Springfield area, it's near the old airport. And looks like it's going to be a great day, at least a half a day, where we're going to have 60s and maybe a little bit higher on some areas, and windy and sunny. And then all of a sudden we're going to drop 20 or 30 degrees and get a little colder again. But so we welcome you to our show. We are a show about social issues, social causes, and we try to keep a positive aspect and try to come up with positive solutions. And so we think that's the approach that we need to have in our country. And Don, what do we always tell people that we want them to do?
Well, we want you to go and like Axe Media Group, so AMG, so that you can follow us every Wednesday at 10. And then we want you to share and like these videos with everybody that you know.
Right. And, like I said, we're on live at 10 a.m., but you may not be able to watch our show at 10 a.m. We understand a lot of people are working or doing other things, but the good news is any time of the day or night after this show is done live today, it will go into the Library of Axe Media Group, and you can watch that show this afternoon. You can watch it tonight. You can tell your friends. And I'm telling you what, this is going to be a great show. We have got a great guest today, a great topic, of high importance on social causes. And we don't have solutions. We're going to talk about potential solutions, but I mean, obviously, I think Lisa Farmer, our guest, is going to tell you that, we're still seeing some increases, unfortunately, in different types of families and people having problems with spousal abuse and relational abuse and things like that. So we're gonna talk about all that. And so I'm Lynn Morris,
And I'm Dawn Blackard.
and we are glad that you're here today. And our guest, Lisa Farmer.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa. I tell you what, you've been around for a while at Harmony House, haven't you?
I have. I have been there about 7.5 years now.
Yeah, I knew that most of the time I served in the legislative body that you were the director over there, executive director, and we were just talking about the Harmony House. For people that don't know, is the oldest women's shelter in the state of Missouri, 1976. Was it just women and children to begin with? And
yes, initially it was women and children. And today we now shelter men. We realized probably in about 2015 that male victims of domestic abuse were really underserved. And so they needed the same safe shelter and support services that any other victim of domestic abuse needs. And so we began sheltering men in 2015. And, it's a relatively small number. National estimates are that between 10 and 15% of all domestic violence victims are male. And our percentage that we shelter is probably between 4 and 5% of everyone that we shelter is male. But we're seeing those numbers grow steadily as word gets out that we now shelter males. We're seeing a steady increase every year in the number of men that we shelter.
Well, Lisa, I was listening to Don talking to you before the show started, and so I heard her say, is it increasing during the holidays? Does all these problems increase during the holidays? And how about during the COVID, the shutdown?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was listening to to educators talk about, well, school was not in session. One of the ways that they find child abuse is when they see bruises and cuts and scratches on a child's arm or face or something like that. But there was no kids in school, so the nurses and the teachers couldn't report it. And so when you tell everybody to lock down, then even so, if there's a bad relationship in a marriage or a family, and there's bad things going on, nobody's really detecting that, is it? So you saw some of that too, right?
We absolutely did, and that was a big concern that all shelter organizations had as we went through the lockdown portion of COVID, because victims had no way to reach out and let somebody know that they were being abused. For a lot of people, if they're allowed to work, going to work is sort of their safe haven, or just being able to get out occasionally and see other people and reach out to other people. There's opportunities to let somebody know that they're in trouble, but during lockdown there wasn't. And one of the things that we did, and Lynn, you helped with this a little bit, we implemented the Mask 19 program. It was started, I think, in England, and it was started because of the pandemic. And it was a program where we educated pharmacies that if somebody came in and asked for a Mask 19, that meant that they were in trouble and call 911. And so we implemented that here locally with about, I want to say about 20 pharmacies. And
I
so,
remember that.
And so we promoted it. We did not publicize it through the media because we did not want abusers to learn about it, but we did publicize it through our website and through social media. And we heard a couple of stories where people did use that as a way to get help, because we figured, and whoever came up with this brilliant idea, pharmacies were probably going to be the one place that people might be allowed to go during the pandemic, to get masks, to get whatever they might need. So that was one way that we were able to at least let victims know that there was help available, and here's a way that you might be able to access it.
Well, I think that's important, Lisa. Signs, symbols, things like that. And, and some of the material I was reading before our meeting here is you have some kind of hand signal that you developed now.
Well, we didn't, and I'm really glad you
but
brought that up because I wanted to talk about it. It's just called the help signal, and I honestly don't remember where it originated, but it is just a hand signal. Just your thumb folds into your hand and you fold your fingers over it to represent I'm trapped, I need help. And this, I think, started on TikTok, which I have never been on. But
neither.
One of the really good things to come out of social media. And there was a case just very, very recently that was in the national news where a young woman was in a car and did that hand signal. And the car next to her knew what it was. They called law enforcement. That car followed the young woman's car for 7 miles till law enforcement was able to intervene, and she was in a domestic abuse situation. So I really encourage everyone to be familiar with that hand signal because that has already saved lives and will save lives.
Well, and these are just simple things.
Yeah.
Simple things.
Yeah.
But it's going to save lives, and it's going to alert somebody, and maybe you can't blurt it out, but you can do that.
You can do that.
And so that's great.
I saw a video where the abuser was very controlling, and so they couldn't say anything, but they said, let's get on a video. So they got on a video with their friend, and then while they were talking, they were really giving their hand signal because, when you can't be verbal, you need to have a signal.
Right.
Yeah. Well, very good. So domestic violence, I'm going to kind of start back over. I was kind of struggling with words when I first started the show today. Don knows I'm suffering from low blood sugar,
Oh.
and not just low, but really low, dangerously low. And so I'm having trouble sometimes in the morning functioning. Hope I don't get to use that excuse very long. I hope I get this straightened out. But anyway, domestic violence and abuse is our topic today, and it's something that I guess we've had forever, and as long as we've had mankind, and we have that, and you've seen increases probably every year. You've been there 7.5, 8 years now, and you're still seeing increases because you've gone from I think in my time with you guys, is this your third building?
This is my second building,
okay,
but
so
this
at least
is
two.
Harmony House's fourth
Okay, I
shelter.
think I've been involved in three of the moves and things like that. And each time you guys just tremendously improve your location, your safety for the families, the people that's there, and then also just the capability inside of being like a home and having a safe home environment inside Harmony House is just awesome. So
thank you.
you're down right now because of still some of the COVID requirements as far as the census goes. But how many, if you were able to have everybody that you wanted to have there, how many people can you serve?
We have 168 beds.
Wow. See, that's
which is actually the largest domestic violence shelter in the state as well. However, because we don't blend families in shelter, all of those beds are never full because we may have a mother and one child in a room that has 4 beds.
Okay.
So we never have 168 people in shelter. Full for us is probably about 120 to 130, depending on how many families we have and how many open beds are. If we have a lot of moms with one child, we're going to have a lot of open beds that we're not going to fill. Right. So it varies a little bit, but usually 120 to 130 is full.
And that's still a lot, though.
Oh, it is a lot.
And you have to have, how many staff members do you have?
Well, we want to have 3 staff. We call them advocates, and they staff our shelter 24/7. So shelter is always staffed like a hospital. We run 3 shifts. We like to have 3 staff on every shift. But like businesses everywhere, we're experiencing labor shortages. So we're grappling with that. So right now we have on some shifts just 2 advocates. But then we've got case managers, we've got childcare staff, we've got kitchen staff. We have a commercial kitchen in shelter. We provide 3 meals a day. So it takes a lot to run shelter.
Sure.
All told, we have 42 staff. That includes our administrative team as well.
And you have volunteers too.
Oh, we have a lot of volunteers. During normal, non-COVID times, we have about 75 volunteers every week helping in one way or another in shelter. Those are regular volunteers who come into our kitchen, who work in our in-kind donations area, receiving clothing and household items that we use. We have interns and volunteers in our advocate office. We have childcare volunteers. We have volunteers that staff our front desk. So we could not do what we do without the volunteers who help keep us running.
Well, before we change subjects too, I want to make sure people know this. So, Springfield, 3rd largest city in the state of Missouri. And so we've got St. Louis and Kansas City, obviously larger cities, but always interesting to me that when I was in state politics that I couldn't hardly figure out how can St. Louis and Kansas City have less domestic violence and abuse than we have in Southwest Missouri. I look at Springfield and Southwest Missouri, and I think of that as such a nice area, safe area, and still yet you are the largest facility like that in the state, and you could be full at any time. So do you think that in Kansas City and St. Louis that people are just not reporting it? You think that it's lack of reporting and people don't know what to do? Because isn't that a problem? Women tend to not want to give up. Men don't want to give up either. People don't want to give up. But you continue to do the bad practices. And so maybe in Kansas City and St. Louis, it's just a generational thing where they just continue to do the same bad thing. I mean, because why do we have more cases that we know about down here than they do what I call the big cities?
Right. And that is the $1 million question, Lynn. And there's a lot of, none of us know the answer, but there's a lot of theories. And one of them is that because we've worked so hard, I mean, we're so blessed to have wonderful law enforcement in Springfield, Greene County. Both the chief of police and the sheriff are at the table when it comes to domestic violence. They're on task forces with us. They serve on boards with us. They have staff people who serve on, the Harmony House Board, the Victim Center Board, the Family Justice Center Board. They are at the table really trying to work together with the providers to, if not stop this problem, reduce it. And so, we've done a lot of work over the since I've been around and, probably before, but what I know about in the last 7 years, there's been a lot of work done to increase reporting, to make sure that victims know what their rights are and where to go. And, we've made more victim advocates available. We have a victim advocate embedded with the Springfield Police Department's domestic violence unit. So right from the get-go, there is somebody there representing the victim and helping the victim through the process. We established the Family Justice Center as a community, as sort of a one-stop shop for domestic violence survivors. Springfield Police Department implemented the Lethality Assessment several years ago, probably 8 years ago now, where law enforcement officers are trained to, when they respond to a domestic violence call, they're trained to assess the situation on a lethality scale and then talk with that victim and say, look, based on what you're telling me, you are at a very, very high risk of being seriously injured or killed. Let me refer you to Harmony House or the Family Justice Center. So we've done a lot as a community. And so, I think a lot of us think that probably reporting is up. People are, and if not reporting to law enforcement, at least reaching out for help. And then, there is, still the question, do we just have maybe a little bit more of it, kind of just because the Ozarks Independent, sort of, this is my household, you do, just some,
just the way we are.
So I don't know. That's the $1 million question.
Well, I know Don was going to ask you a question, so I think this is a good time, Don, to see what Harmony House can do. What do we need to do? What do people need to help right now with? So,
well, I would just like to say Harmony House has made such an imprint on the community. I mean, you can see it on the billboards, you can see it within the community leaders. Yeah. And so I do think that awareness has really gotten out there on the individual level, that there is a place that you can go and there is a safe shelter. So I know you guys have been doing an excellent job with that.
Thank you.
And then also something else, Lynn, was I read that half of homeless people could be victims of domestic violence. So there could be a lot more homeless people in St. Louis and Kansas City that maybe don't realize that they could get into, a system and a shelter like you guys have. I feel like you guys have opened your arms up to the community to where they feel that. And I think being able to feel that is a big part of the openness of people to contact you guys and all of that. So I just wanted to say really good job there. The holidays are coming and I am so big this holiday. I mean, all holidays we should do something, Lynn. Right. But I think with where our current climate is, it's like, less about what's under the tree and more what you can do and give and so forth. And so what can we do as a community to come behind Harmony House and help you guys right now?
Oh, well, thank you for that question, and thank you for the compliment. So holidays at Harmony House are a really big deal. We really try to help our shelter residents, and particularly the kids, have a wonderful holiday. And that's one of the things that I think sometimes people do forget about is, when we think about domestic abuse or domestic violence, we think about the adults in the relationship and we forget about the children. And so when they come into shelter, they too have left everything behind. They've left their toys, they've left their school supplies, they've left their home, they've left their friends. So we try really hard to make the holidays just as special as we can. So one of the things that we do is we have what we've started calling sort of our Santa's shop, our Christmas store, and we collect toys for the holidays, and then we will set up a store. We have donated retail space the last couple of years, right next door to shelter, so it's been really convenient. But we'll set up a Santa's store, and for 2 or 3 days, parents can come shop at the store, and of course, there's no charge. But for each child, they can select so many gifts, and usually it's like one big gift, a couple of medium-sized gifts, and a handful of smaller gifts. And so we'll have the store set up for boys and girls, and we just ask the community to donate wonderful new toys that parents can come and shop. And then we have a wrapping station set up, staffed by volunteers who are available to help the parents wrap the gifts if they want help wrapping the gifts. So parents can actually shop, wrap the gifts, and then we'll hang on to them till Christmas Eve and give them to each parent so that they can have them for their kiddos in the morning. So that is a wonderful way that individuals can support Harmony House during the holidays. We need toys for kids of all ages. We have infants in shelter and we have young teenagers in shelter. So we would be grateful to accept any gifts that you might like to donate.
Lisa, how about clothes?
We can always use clothes. Because we are really short on storage space, we only are able to take seasonally appropriate clothing. But we do accept clothing. Now for the holidays, it needs to be new. But for general use throughout the year, we ask that it be gently used. Excuse me. We have a boutique in shelter that is set up just like a little boutique. And so we've got adults clothing, men, women, and then we've got a children's clothing section. When residents come into shelter, very often they have fled with little to no clothing. And so we are able to provide them with up to 10 days worth of clothing, everything from undergarments to outerwear to, if it's winter coats, winter shoes. We have accessories, we have hygiene products. So we all year long, we accept those kinds of donations, but again, seasonally appropriate and gently used.
Very good. And so how would people, if they want to donate money, I mean, you're always going to take money. You're not.
We will always take money.
You're not going to turn money down. You're a nonprofit organization, and a very good one at that. And so, how would people get a hold of you to help you at this time of the year or any time of the year?
Well, we try to make it as easy as possible. So you can go to our website, which is www.myharmonyhouse.org. And so on our website, one of the tabs at the top, I think, is ways to help. And so then there's some drop down tabs. One is, volunteer time, donate items, or donate money. And so if you click on any of those tabs, it will give you really easy directions on who to reach out to and how to help. But donating money, you can donate online. We accept credit cards. You can mail a check and it will tell you where to mail it. We do have tax credits. So for listeners who are in Missouri, if you pay Missouri taxes, we do have 50% Missouri tax credits.
That's a good deal.
It is a really good deal. And next year, thanks to the governor, they will be 70% tax
Wow.
credits, which,
Yay.
yeah,
Good.
that was a really, we felt like Christmas had arrived early
Yes,
when
so
we heard that news.
January 1st, we're ready.
Yeah. Well, it will not go into effect till July 1st.
Okay.
Okay.
So, but we'll
That's
let
good.
you know.
Are we going to be ready for a break? Okay, well, I tell you what, Lisa, just hold the thought. We got some more great questions when you get back. So that's okay. Lisa Farmer with Harmony House. I tell you what, just a great domestic violence and abuse shelter right here in Springfield, Missouri. But I'm going to change gears here real quick and kind of set the tone. We're still looking for great sponsors, not a lot of them, but if you're interested in sponsoring Axe Media Groups, in particular, Changing Times and any of the operational shows that we have in Southwest Missouri, in Springfield, we would love to hear from you and see if we can work something out. But if you want to advertise with Axe Media Group, you can send me an email to Lynn, Lynn, Lynn Morris, Morris 2012 at gmail.com, and your email.
mycreativeworkhorse@gmail.com.
You can tell how creative she is, and so she's got a creative email address, and just our contact Axe Media Group, 4166 West Kearney, Springfield, Missouri 65803, I believe is the zip code, and you can let us know what you're looking at. But our first sponsor that we have, and we're real proud of him, is Brad Pasteau. He's the owner of Trinity Insurance and Financial Services. He's a fiduciary financial planner, certified fiduciary financial planner. And some people said, well, what does this fiduciary mean? What does fiduciary mean? That means that person is working with you and he has to keep your interest, not his interest, not how much money he's going to make by helping you, but he's got to keep your interest in mind at all times. So now when you're talking about investment and retiring, it's never too early to think about retiring. Look at what inflation's doing in the United States right now. We've got high runaway inflation, and people that think they're going to be able to live on a certain amount of money, you're going to better plan for a lot more money when you get retirement age. But the great news about Brad Pasteau is he is located right here in Ozark, Missouri, just 10 miles south of Springfield. So if you live anywhere around the Joplin area, Springfield, Branson area, you need to go see Brad Pasteau. The telephone number is 417-581-9222, 581-9222. And here's how it's going to work. Lisa is going to answer the phone, and you're going to be just obviously right away know that that lady is smiling at you. She is one of the nicest ladies that you're ever going to talk to on the phone, and she's going to make sure she gets you taken care of. And you're going to talk to either Brad Pasteau or Hunter Pasteau. And so when you're talking about retirement planning where you don't have to worry about losing any principal, you're not going to lose any money that you need to have for retirement, he's got the plans that will give you that security. So right now with the stock market going up and down every week, up and down, stockbrokers are making a lot of money, but some of the individuals are not making a lot of money right now. You don't have to worry about it. I have all my retirement funds. Janet and I have everything that we had planned for retiring. It's with Brad Pasteau, and we never have to worry about what the stock market. If it crashes, I have 100% of my money still making money for me. So you need to talk to him, but he has a book called Safe Money Matters, and it's free. He's going to give that book to you. All you got to do is call him up. You don't even have to come in and see him, but I bet you if you read the book, you're going to come in and want to see him, okay? And then if for us like me, Medicare age, right now we're getting ready to close the enrollment here in December, but right now it's critical times for people getting ready to sign up for Medicare every year. You don't just automatically sign up for the same Medicare plan you have year after year. your health care changes, your medicine changes, different diagnoses, disease states changes. Everything can change. And a husband and wife doesn't necessarily need the same plan because you're not the same either as far as health goes. And so Hunter Pasteau is the specialist on Medicare planning. And so right now, if you're looking for a best plan for you or your spouse, you need to go see Hunter Pasteau. Telephone number is the same, 417-581-9222. And, you know, Brad just got a brand new book out called Bulletproof. He'll give you that book free. That book is even more dynamic than the first book, which was the #1 best-selling Amazon investment and retirement planning book, #1. So you're going to get a #1 book. You can get it free. Now you can get the brand new book, and you just need to make a relationship. And he also has licenses in other states, and so he can help you in other states, and he'll be glad to help you with that. So that's our first sponsor, and we're going to get 4 more quality sponsors just like that. And we're close to our second contract right now, and we'll probably have that before the start of December. And so hopefully if anybody is interested, they'll call us and contact us and be part of the Acts Media Group, because we're just trying to just basically be a beacon in the world for Jesus Christ and what he means for all of us. And the people that we will always sponsor will be those type of people.
And Lynn, these sponsors, this is not for you and me. This is for so we can bring Harmony House on, and so we can bring things to the community, and we can bring these awareness and everything with changing times. So thank you so much, Brad, for being our sponsor.
Oh yeah, and certainly, I mean, we don't make anything. We are actually volunteers. Matt, our producer, is a volunteer. He just stepped back in, and we're all volunteers, and that's what we like about it. There's no pressure for us, but we just need to find the right sponsors. Matt's put all this equipment together, and this is certainly not as sophisticated as the radio station I came from. But honestly, Lisa, the next thing I want is for Don and I and Matt and the other shows, I want to be able to talk to people from home on the phone, and be able to see it on the screen and be able to listen, because some of our guests have come from as far as Kansas and other areas. Oh, wow. And right now you have to be an in-house guest, which is perfect. We love to have our in-house guests, but it'd be nice if somebody wanted to call right now and ask something about Harmony House. They could do that if we had that system. We're going to get that system, but that costs money too. And so that's part of why we're asking for some people that would donate to our cause and be sponsors to our program. So thank you very much. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started again.
Yeah, I want to bring back up what we're doing here.
Sure.
So Lisa was talking about at Harmony House, the big thing right now is that it's going into the holidays, and we want these families to feel loved, and we want them to have a good holiday experience, even if they are in Harmony House. And a lot of it's about hope. You know, there's a hope for a better future. There's a hope for a better tomorrow. And Lisa brought up some great points. When you think about domestic violence, you often think about the victim, but there's usually children involved who are just, you know, innocent in the whole process that's going on. So I can tell you, if you want to do something that's really great with your family, you should take, if you have a kid, you should take your children shopping specifically for this store that they're going to put into place, and let the kids pick out the gifts, let them be part of the process, and let them, you know, be able to give back. And that will be more than you could do with having them have a present under the tree for themselves. And there's so many families out there that can go above and beyond. And so we're just asking that you bring your family into the Harmony House family, and you donate to this great cause.
Thank you for that, Dawn. And I can tell you that it will mean the world to the parents and kiddos in shelter. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's amazing.
Now, where's your location at, and where could they drop that off? What's the best way?
So we are located, for those of you in the Springfield area, we are right almost at the intersection of Highway 65 and East Battlefield. Our building sits just south of the PFI store. Our address is 3404 East Ridgeview. And so it's a really accessible location. Some of you may just now be wondering why I gave out the address. Many shelters are still operate in undisclosed locations. But there has been a movement for the last probably 10 years that more and more shelters are publicly known locations. And so our shelter is a publicly known location, but we have a lot of security and have not had any significant issues. So, but yes, you can, that is where we're located. Again, you can get online at myharmonyhouse.org and look for the tab. I think it says ways to help, and reach out to our donations coordinator. Her email is online on that tab, and coordinate with her about dropping off gifts. But basically, you can just drop off your gifts.
And if you have a workplace and you don't know what your workplace is going to do, this would be great for your coworkers to go in on, or a church. If a church is looking for a project to come together with, this could be a great avenue for that too. Now, on your building, I'm remembering, because I know I see it when I drive down 65. You have a name on there. Who donated that building?
So our lead donor was Bobby Allison. Again, a lot of people in Springfield or the Springfield area know of Bobby. He has been very generous with mostly charities or organizations that have anything to do with children. He is really passionate about helping children. And Harmony House campus. And so he made a very generous gift to really get our capital campaign rolling, and has continued to be a good supporter.
Well, you know, Bobby and Betty have done a great job all over the
All over.
Southwest Missouri, Springfield area. If you go up to Missouri State campus, I think the men's soccer team is in a playoff game today. And that's the Bobby and Betty Allison soccer field. Go walk around the campus and you'll see their name.
And, you know, so many organizations in Springfield, you know, the Lost and Found Grief Center, the Dream Center, Ozarks Counseling Center, I think the Child Advocacy Center. I mean, he has really, really been very, very generous with any organization that supports children or youth in one way or the other.
We're so fortunate to have so many people and families that step up and help. Hey, so one of the things, kudos to you all, you got recognized and selected as the Small Business of the Year for the Springfield Chamber of Commerce.
We did.
And so let me ask you a question: are you the first nonprofit to? I'm curious, because normally, I mean, I've belonged to chambers for a long time, in every town I had a pharmacy. So most usually it was small retail stores, independent owned stores, but it wasn't not necessarily a nonprofit.
We are actually only the second nonprofit that has been honored to receive that award. And the first was Ozarks Food Harvest in 2011. Yeah. So we were really excited and honored to receive that award just last week.
Well, and I want to ask you another real quick question. Randy Bacon, he's a friend of mine. He's a really good,
he's amazing.
He's a really good artist. And he, you know, Don was talking about how good you are at getting out everything about Harmony House and promoting it and things like that, what you do and what you stand for. So you guys, Randy Bacon, was that his idea, or whose idea was standing together? And then the types of portraits that he was able to do.
So Randy and his assistant, Amy Hayter, approached us, I think it will be 2 years ago, or was 2 years ago this past August, about doing a project on domestic violence. And I don't know how many of you have seen his exhibit, The Road I Call Home, which he did 5 years ago, 4 years ago, on homelessness. And so he basically did a lot of portraits of homeless individuals, and then in their own words they told their stories. And so Standing Together, the exhibit is called Standing Together: Portraits and Stories of Domestic Abuse, and in it we feature 19 individuals to start. We're going to be adding to it every year, but 19 individuals from all walks of life who have experienced or who have been impacted by domestic violence. And we wanted to really show the ripple effect that domestic violence has in a community. And so this exhibit, and it consists of full length, full body portraits, which is new for Randy. It also consists of video and audio, and then their stories in their own words. But it features an ER physician, as an example, who lost a loved one to domestic violence when he was a teenager, but now he is also an ER physician and he sees it every day in the ER. Right. It features one of the Greene County detectives who is on the domestic violence unit and refuses to retire because he wants to see domestic violence end. It features male victims, female victims, a teen victim of dating violence.
So Lisa, where can they see that right now?
They can see it right now at Randy Bacon's studio,
okay,
on Commercial Street in Springfield. It'll be there through the end of the year. And then we plan to have it tour businesses in Springfield in 2022. So if anybody's listening and has a business that has a lobby or an atrium that is large enough to house this exhibit, those are our plans for 2022. You can also see it online and at Randy's website, and I do not remember. I think if you just Google 7 billion ones, that is Randy's nonprofit name under which he does The Road to Call Home and Standing Together and some other portrait work. But if you Google it, you can also see it online, but it's not the same as seeing it, seeing the real exhibit. It is very powerful.
Don and I have been doing, we've been having different authors and people that actually help other people become a writer, get their idea out and become a writer. And we haven't had any artists on board, but I've thought about it because I love art. I love stained glass is my hobby. And I want to bring some artists on.
Randy would be a good one. I mean, he is so passionate.
Well, we're going to run out of time, guys, and we appreciate everybody being here today, Wednesday, 10 a.m., November 17th, and we'll be back next week, the day before Thanksgiving, and we'll have another great show. Thank you very much.
Be the change.
1, 2, 3. Can I get a